Dear audience, dear opposite team, honorable members of jury, as we gather today, I, as the Prime Minister of the Government House, would like to discuss and to address this very controversial topic, which affects our Moroccan identity in the first place, and which is simply why the new Moroccan Family Code, which is also known as Mudouana, should be reflecting our cultural and religious values. Just to put it in the context, the Family Code is simply a legal framework that protects the family laws in Morocco. And because I was really hearing a lot of rumors in terms of the new Mudouana, I wanted to take the opportunity to deny all rumors and to actually clarify what was going on. Simply, on the 13th of July 2022, our dear King Mohammed VI had made a very clear statement during his speech for the Throne Day, where he dedicated a very clear message in order to carry out some reforms related to the Family Code. And also His Honor emphasized on making these new reforms, considering what Islam teaches in a very fair and balanced way. So I guess the new Moroccan Family Code should be reflecting our cultural and religious values. And that is exactly the topic of today's debate. And with that, I proceed to quickly introduce my team members. Among us are myself, and I am the Prime Minister. During my speech, I will emphasize on the preservation of true Moroccan identity, and then the Deputy Prime Minister, Sarah, and then the Member of Government, Mohammed Hassan, and last but not least, Miriam, the Whip of Government. And during her speech, she will shoulder responsibility for all of us, bringing our voices together to represent our position towards the main topic. However, I want you to listen to me carefully and hear me out. As of today, we as Moroccans stand at a very crucial juncture in our cultural history, one that beckons us to embrace our cultural and religious values and crafting a family code that resonates with the very essence of our identity. We have to acknowledge that the integration of Moroccan rich cultural tapestry and the guiding principles of Islam is not just a step, but also a monumental stride that guide us towards a better future. And then it also assures us to safeguarding today's Morocco, the one with the pure Islamic identity, the one where we grew and where our ancestors have been living for decades. Now ask yourselves, shouldn't our laws reflect our deeply rooted beliefs, our cultural heritage, and the principles that guide our lives? Don't you think that the future generations actually, we owe them to implement this in our legal framework? I mean, imagine a legal system that does not align with the cultural and religious values. Honestly, there would be an indirect society destruction. Islam has always been a solid shield that protects our nation from spread of corruption and injustice. And now you're telling me that we have to let go of all our beliefs in order to follow a world system is leading us towards an unknown future. However, dear audience, please, let us forge a path that resonates with the spirits of our past, that defines the strength of our present, and most importantly, that is totally deeply rooted in our cultural and religious values. Thank you.
Dear Prime Minister, you should know that Mr. Prime Minister, you should know that what does the Mudawwana recognize is not in our interest. What really is important to us is if the family code should reflect cultural and religious values of the society. So, the new Moroccan family code should reflect cultural and religious values of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable jury, dear members of the government, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to mention that my team and I, as the opposition, we are thrilled to share our perspective on this topic. While we totally respect the importance of these values, but on the other hand, we strongly believe that it's crucial to strike a balance between tradition and progress. And our main argument is that the new family code should prioritize individual freedoms and rights, regardless of cultural and religious backgrounds. We believe in creating a society that values diversity and ensures equal opportunities for all. Allow me, Georgians, to tell you a story to clarify things. A story of a young man named Tariq. Tariq, a 35 years old who finally decided to marry and share his life with a soulmate for better or worse, till death do them part. Not being the type who uses online matchmaking services, he went the traditional way. After a couple of weeks, the human search engine came up with 2 candidates, and they were both beautiful 25-years old conservative prospects for his quest. It was exactly what he had been looking for. However, there was one more thing to know. One of the prospects used to be married before she got divorced, while the other one had never been married. Although, not a big deal, you might say, he would automatically go for the former. Well, let's not judge so fast. Not having been married before, the latter's demands were far beyond Tariq's reach, and not being the rich guy, he couldn't meet her demands. So, now you are thinking what Tariq was thinking of. He decided to marry the one that was divorced. Sorry. Well, wait. Let's think of a second case scenario. What if Tariq had been the rich guy? Would he still have picked the same prospect? I don't think so. After breaking the news to his parents, his mother was really upset and totally against the idea of his marriage. For the simple reason that her would-be daughter-in-law was simply a divorced woman. What a shame, right? A young Moroccan marrying a divorced woman. So, my question is, why has the society created this degrading and negative image of divorced women? And that, Georgians, is what our deputy leader, Divorce, is going to talk about in her upcoming intervention. And of course, many other arguments such as underage marriages and women's rights and child's rights, and a bunch of other things that we will discuss later. So that's why I invite you to listen to us carefully. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, estimated jury, and respectful member of opposite team, good afternoon. This House is against what the leader of opposition said. Why? Exactly, just for that. What the leader of opposition said are just some stereotypes existing in our society, has no relation with our religion, not even with our culture. So to start my speech, I would like to, let's start my speech, sorry. Our identity is built on 2 principles, pillars, which given as a global and national echo. Our culture, which is the state of our tradition and social behaviors, saturated with our religionist values that goes deep in our history. And secondly, our religion. We as Moroccan, we are considered as a musulman country in which there are more than 98% of Muslims. So, as we all know, the family is the first carrier where children must be raised and developed under the wings of their parents on such values. In that, the new family code must reflect our religion, must reflect our culture, must reflect our identity. Such Islam is a comprehensive religion. It provides guidance on many structures of life, including marriage, divorces, and inheritance. For example, if the Islam gives one right to the woman on her father or mother inheritance, doesn't mean at all that it's underestimating her. However, in our religions, men are carrying a lot of responsibility, including the obligation duty of financially support their wives, women's, mothers, parents, at all, and children as too. However, it doesn't. However, it doesn't give any obligation for women to spend her money on something like that. Moreover, Islam honors women. Thank you. Islam honors women in many cases. For example, it's given her the right of knowledge. It gives her the right of knowledge and encourage her education. Given the example, encourage her education to be a certain qualified person in society. Given the example by Khadija radiallahu anha, the wife of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was a very rich and successful businesswoman in her age. As well, Islam serves as a protective umbrella of our culture and values from external influence. So, if we do not follow our religion, we do not follow our culture in the new family code, we will be exposed to a big moral decay, as we see nowadays on Western countries. People will regret marriage and opt for urban relationships, which result a lot of damages in which we can give an example of legitimate birth that our work of government will talk about more in detail later. Taking the example of the famous football player Ronaldo, who preferred to stay in a relationship with his girlfriend without getting married, even though they have kids. Why? Just afraid to lose a half of his wealth when he get divorced, for example. And this will encourage people to do the same. Now, talking about the propagation of the absolute freedom, we will ask about later as the illegitimate equality between genders. Thank you.
Dear audience, honorable jury members, members of government, greetings. First of all, I'd love to answer Mrs. Deputy Prime Minister. We really didn't say that religion underestimates women, but more like doesn't give her the rights she deserves. We are asking for equality between men and women. Thank you. Divorce is the legal process of ending the marital relationship. During your marriage, you and your spouse acquired property, made money, paid debts, and supported one another. The divorce process unwinds that relationship and returns parties to a more or less equal parts. According to 2011 statistics, the Family Justice Services reported that 1 out of 6 marriages ends in divorce. In a society where virginity is glorified, divorced women often have a hard time finding new relationships. As an alibi, many divorced women faced with the harsh reality of how the Moroccan society views them. Divorced women are more often... Yes?
So you said that you think that we have to have a certain equality between men and women.
Right.
Do you think that men and women are the same to have the equality? If yes, why God doesn't create just one gender? Why we create as 2 genders? Thank you.
Well, I'll be mentioning this later during my speech. Anyways, I was saying that divorced women are more often... Divorced women are more often left with nowhere to go and do not have any source of income to cover for their expenses. Tracing this phenomenon back a couple of years ago in Morocco, women had no say whatsoever when it came to divorce. A great living example, can be found in Leila Abu Zaid's novella, The Year of the Elephant, which shares a journey of a Moroccan woman between the transitional period between colonialism and the independence of Morocco. Zahra, the protagonist, was the subject of divorce. The novella opens. I come back to my hometown feeling shattered and helpless. He had simply sat down and said, "Your papers will be sent to you with whatever the law provides." My papers? How worthless a woman is if she can be returned with a receipt like some store-bought object. How utterly worthless. This shows how easy it was for a man to file for divorce without his wife's agreement. Divorce has acquired a negative connotation throughout the history of Morocco. Divorce has always been the storm that disconcerts the harmonious life of any family. It is the bad omen that shouldn't be brought up under any marital roof, and it's the nightmare of any married woman. For our people, divorce is a catastrophe, an absolute disaster, Zahra said. How did divorce acquire this deeply rooted negative connotation? Women have been executed for things they have done, as well as for things they're innocent of. For instance, a man can divorce his wife if she frequently gets sick, if she's impotent, if she had a love affair out of wedlock, or if she simply gets old. The same reasons for which one would buy a new car or a new TV set. And what is more ironic is when some men get new business transactions, they also get a new young wife as a reward, thus leaving behind the divorced wife to a society that perceives her as an expired member of it, who's unable to settle down and lead a successful marital life. The divorced woman is still considered to be the socially incapable. Sorry.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings, dear opposite teams. Dear audience, as a member of the government, I respectfully oppose my dear opponents, but I'll come to that in a minute. As we all know, the Moroccan culture is mostly based on religion. It's known for being a lifestyle that gives us the rules of living, but not all rules and culture are based on religion. Let me explain. Islam assures each gender's rights, depending on each person's gender. But it doesn't mean that it assures equality. Remember, giving each person his rights doesn't lead to equality. As equality means that both individuals have the same values, which will lead to a toxic relationship. So to stop this mistake, instead of practicing equality, religion and culture exists. Equality exists. As genders aren't the same and can't practice the same activities, which will lead to a toxic relationship affecting the children and the parents, or a divorce that will mostly just affect the children. Now back to the opposition. I respectfully disagree with the idea of following culture can't result in progress. Now tell me how Asians are smart and advanced following their religion and culture. Why is that? Why can't it be like that? Why should we follow other cultures and religions? Just imagine how we would be. Just imagine how we would be proud of ourselves when we follow our cultures and succeed. Think about it for tomorrow, not for now. Thank you.
Marriage. Let us define that. Marriage is a legal and socially significant union between a man and a woman. This is regulated by laws, rules. customs, beliefs, and attitude that prescribe the right and duty of the partner and acquire status of their offspring. Everywhere, in every society, it is normal to see marriage between two people over 18 years old. It was widespread in our society because, according to the country's culture, it's pretty normal. And it was shocking to see a man in his 40s, 50s, and 60s married with a 14 years old girl. These gentlemen are Jew and dear members of the government. We all know that before 2004, it was legal to marry at the age of 15. And it was raised to 18, even though that didn't make any changes. But on the contrary, it made the situation worse. Let me give you some statistics. According to the Ministry of Justice and Freedom, the percentage of underage marriage has increased from 7% in 2004 to 11% in 2013. It's an indicator that the current family law does not meet the expectation of American citizens. Other than that, do you think that 18 years old is enough? Because I don't think so. At 18, teenagers start follow their superior studies, find a job, a stable situation financially, then think about marriage. If what I just said hadn't been done, how did this person live? I ask you a real question and I want to hear the answer. If a person at 18 can be financially, socially independent, how would he be responsible for another person or more if they make kids? I'll be waiting for your answer. Also, we all know that in the Moroccan society, and this is continuing in some areas here in Morocco, we force women to marry without consent. What do you think about this idea, the members of government? Tell us the reason why in our culture, marrying a woman without her consent is normal. I have an answer for this question. It's simply because our culture and our society is a masculine society. And we can see this now. The majority of married women in Morocco don't work. Why? Because in our culture, the role of a woman is to stay at home, in the kitchen, and educate kids. And to give you a concrete example from our life, you must have heard at least one time a man shouting to his wife, I would say in Arabic, cuisine. Is that more sexist and discriminatory? I don't think so. And lastly, dear member of the government, if we go to logic, we can marry a woman under 18 years old without her consent. And all that, we can justify it by saying that it's in our culture. Do you think that is reasonable? I don't think so. And this proves that the family culture should be based on our Moroccan culture. Thank you.
Dear audience, honorable members of the jury and esteemed opponents, good morning. First of all, excuse me, I caught a cold, so my voice might not be clear. So, religious beliefs are the compass guiding our family journey. This metaphor compares religious beliefs to a compass, giving directions and purpose to the family journey, which is very important for the growth and the development of our society. So, tell me, dear audience, do you think that excluding religious beliefs, religious values from the new Moroccan family code will guide our society to a better and peaceful path? Of course not. The Moroccan society is deeply rooted into Islamic values, making it difficult, even impossible, to have any Occidental view or approach to a very crucial pillar of the societal composition, which is family. Also, on the one hand, excluding these values could lead to could have a significant impact on cultural and religious preservation of Morocco. This latter is held as central in our society. Also, our society might view these changes as an imposition on their traditional way of life, and this could come from various segments of our society, community members, religious leaders, even individuals. As Sheikh Dr. Hassan Kitani, the president of the Association of Muslim Scholars, says in one of his related interviews, in the case where the new Moroccan family code deviates from Islamic values, our society might view a big catastrophe. On the other hand, these changes could lead to social tensions between those advocating for a more secular approach and those desiring to keep and maintain the conservative religious values. These tensions might manifest in social debates, conflicts, and protests. And it will be a big mess in our society.
Yes, except
How does all that perceives Moroccan values? If yes, why? And if no, why?
Well, I'll keep it for later. So, a part of this mess would be legal uncertainty. Let me explain. Putting aside religious guidelines away from the family code, without putting a clear alternative based on secular context, could lead to confusion about marriage, divorce, child custody, and many other family-related matters. So, I'll give you an example, Karim and Leila, a married couple who are willing to divorce. In the case where there's lack of religious values, this couple may encounter challenges on defining how they're going to manage school, general and medical well-being of their child. Also, financial settlements, like determining alimony, which will be less standardized. As you see in the example of Karim and Leila, because of process. This scenario shows the importance of establishing clear legal frameworks in the case of a secular context. Otherwise, religion should be the main source of the regulations of the new Moroccan family code as it is right now. So please, dear audience, dear opponents, convince this House. How do you expect the new Moroccan family code to be without any religious values in our super highly conservative and Muslim country? Thank you.
it seems like I didn't understand anything of all the arguments that my teammates have talked about in their interventions. So let me enrich you with more arguments and complement what the member of opposition said, starting with women's rights. Well, cultural and religious values may uphold certain traditional rules and expectations for women. It is essential to recognize that women's rights have evolved over time, and by solely reflecting cultural and religious it is essential to recognize that women's rights have evolved over time, and by solely reflecting cultural and religious values, we risk perpetuating gender inequalities and denying women the opportunity to fully participate in society. This means providing legal protection and support for women who face discrimination or violence within their families or communities. By incorporating provisions that address these issues, the family code can help create a more just and inclusive society. And by undeveloped, I mean that incorporating certain elements from Western countries into Morocco's family law could bring benefits. I mean, Western legal system often emphasize individual rights, gender equality, and personal freedoms. Adopting such patterns could contribute to a more progressive and equitable society, fostering social development and international cooperation. Besides, in our culture, we tend to neglect our women. So, if we reflect religious and especially cultural values to the new law, it might seem that we are undeveloped as a country, since it might seem like we do not fully respect our human rights and do not give our women their true values. Also, let's not forget that it's important to prioritize the rights and well-being of children. Child's rights should not be compromised based on cultural or religious beliefs. Every child deserves to be protected, have access to education, healthcare, and a safe environment. Regardless of cultural or religious values, let's ensure that
Let's ensure that children's rights are upheld for a brighter future. That's why the new family code in Morocco should not reflect our culture. And let me say it again for you. The new family code in Morocco should not reflect our culture. Thank you. In society, thank you.
Dear audience, dear opposite team, honorable members of jury. Now that we've heard both teams' perspectives on the main topic, let us please not get distracted about what we've heard so far so that we could think in a very clear, logical way. Hearing strong concepts that includes, that carries within them large dimensions should not actually prevent us from seeing the real truth, as the opposite team have been using such strong concepts including women's rights, freedom of choice, and gender equality. I wanted also to mention that Islam has never promoted for gender equality, but instead he promoted for gender equity, which is a concept that assures giving each member or each gender the rights they deserve instead of in a very equal way. However, trust me, all these concepts are purposely twisted and totally misunderstood. For instance, let us please talk about the freedom of choice. I wanted to inquire, what kind of freedom on earth would we ever want if it goes against our beliefs and our religion? Thank you.
Remember that adopting some patterns from Western countries will be in vain because it's simply constructed in a society whose cultural and religious values backgrounds are very different from Morocco's. And our society can attain modernity and appropriate its values, while still safeguarding its values. Is that what you claim? Well, sorry, because if you believe in this and think it's fair, you seriously need some help. Lies, lies, lies. These are all just lies that crazy people that don't accept change create to themselves. It's time to make a change. My team and I want nothing but the best for our beloved kingdom, and the best would be the family code not reflecting any type of values, neither social value, neither cultural values of the society, nor religious ones. Thank you.
Disagreeing to what the future leader of opposition said, our religion assure women's right in many structures life, and even in divorce. And those ideas that are in our society nowadays are just some stereotypes, including because of the worst understanding of our Islamic laws. So, in your opinion, if we do not live in our religion and culture in order to create a more strong family code, what should we refer? Did you ever think about it? You may say human rights or equality between gender. Or logic, maybe, but after just a small time of reflection, you may realize that Islam and Moroccan culture include all that. Thank you.
To finish what I've started earlier, the divorced woman is still considered to be the socially incapable to be avoided. Dear audience, let's not keep repeating our arguments over and over. Let us be honest and admit that if the Moroccan family code reflects either religious or cultural values of the society, then know that our beloved and precious kingdom will never ever develop. Thank you.
Let me finish what I started. The religion gives us all the things we need when it comes to marriage and divorce, depending on our holy book, the Quran. Quran says that genders shouldn't be equal, but should be given their rights, especially women. Following these steps should lead to a healthier relationship, I'm confident. Family division had always been a problem in our country due to many factors, actually. This last can be definitely the cause of many other problems in our society, like homeless kids, personal problems and insecurities, and more. This is mainly caused toxic relationships in marriage, and an example, the couple divorce papers, as not following the culture and religion can lead to these things. Family stability, however, is totally the opposite of family division. Family stability, thanks to healthy relationships and a healthy marriage, exists and is way further than divorce. Family stability can be practiced or can occur when the parents follow the religion and culture, as Moroccan culture, if followed, can lead to even healthier relationships and a happy marriage, and even thank you.
We asked a question, me and my teammates, and you didn't answer anyone. Also, you didn't even talk about culture. You just talk about religion. Also, I want to say that you did not repeat the same arguments and don't have any statistical source, as you also have a lack of information. And now that these weak arguments, you can even convince a young kid. So how are you going to convince us? And I'm going to affirm. The new family code shouldn't be based on religion and culture. Thank you.
Dear audience, as my house is advocating for aligning the Moroccan family code with cultural and religious values, it is essential to recognize the significance of preserving cultural and religious identity and promoting social cohesion and respecting the religious beliefs of the majority. Upholding these values can create a sense of unity within Moroccan society, fostering stability and community acceptance. Moreover, it is crucial to emphasize that aligning these values with the Moroccan family code does not mean disregarding human rights or gender equality, as the other team says. It is possible to implement reforms that respects traditions while also ensuring the freedoms and rights of individuals, especially those of women and children, and all that to foster a brighter future for all Americans. Thank you.
Since the beginning of this debate, I've heard nothing but nonsense from your dear opponents. Next time, make sure to bring some real meaningful arguments. And now let me conclude. Remember that our arguments are not meant to disguise cultural or religious values. We simply emphasize the need to strike between these values. These values and the rights and well-being of individuals. Let's build a family code that respects everyone's rights, while fostering a harmonious and inclusive society. Dear audience, it's crystal clear that the new family code in Morocco must not reflect cultural and religious values of the society. Thank you.